I would like to talk to you about business models. A business model is just how is your business designed to work? It's a plan for how a company is going to make money. So here are a couple of options, some of the basic business models. You can have a product, you can sell a service, you can have a shared asset, and I will give examples of all of these. You can have a subscription or membership model, a lease or rental model. You can sell insurance, which is kind of its own business model. You can resell, so wholesale. You can have a franchise or sell franchises, or you can have an agency or promotion of other products. So these are some of the business model types. There may be more, and I'm curious if you can think of more. Here are some examples. So if you're just selling a product, shoes, coffee, books, that's a product. If you're a lawyer or a coach or a teacher that works for other companies or offers this service, that's a service based business. If you have a shared asset like a workspace or a studio space that people rent or come into, and this shared asset is a little different than just renting because what you're doing is buying equipment for the workspace. So for a gym, you have machines, and weights and things like that. Whereas a regular, just a rental business model doesn't include those things. Okay, then you have a membership in a program or a newsletter or a class or something like that. That's a membership or subscription, which could be magazines, physical objects you get every week, like a wine membership, or every month, a wine membership, or you know, book of the month membership or something like that. And then for the rental model, there's real estate. There's also maybe you rent tools or you rent other equipment that you as the business owner have to keep and maintain, and then you rent them out. So that could be real estate or other items. Insurance is pretty obvious, but there's car insurance, house insurance, there's business insurance, there's event insurance, there's all sorts of, insurances that people sell or buy. Then reselling is the wholesale to retail model where you have a shop and you buy art supplies and then you resell them to customers. Then there's the franchise. So McDonald's is a franchise. Starbucks is not, although it is customer owned. So McDonald's is the largest franchise in the world. It sets people up to have ownership over the stores. People have to have certain standards for the stores, but they take on a financial risk to have that franchise. And then McDonald's takes on certain amount of risk and support in that model. And then in the agency model, there are advertisements. An ad agency creates collateral, marketing materials, etc., for a client. So in a sense, that's kind of a service model, but it also is kind of its special own thing where it develops the collateral for the person or the for the company to then promote or market other companies. Okay, so then these are kind of the three ways that those business models can be used, either from B2B, business to business. So in our reselling, a company may make paint and then sell it to another business, the art supply store. That's a B2B business. So a paint company may buy pigments to put in their paints, and that's a B2B business. B2C, which is business to customer, and that is where you're actually just selling your product straight to the customer or service. You can sell your membership or any of these things straight to the customer. And then the C2C, which is a consumer trading through platforms. Okay, so here I'll give you examples. B2B, there are four types: producers who are making something and selling it to a reseller, then the reseller, governments and institutions. In the case of a creative business, often it's teaching classes at a school. So you as a teacher are selling your services to the business, the school, rather than to the customer, the student. So you performing at a theater would be a B2B activity, selling a show to a network versus just producing it and showing it yourself on your own stage or your own platform. Okay, so then B2C would be art galleries selling art. So that's business straight to the customer. Artists selling on their own website. That's you having your business selling straight on a website or teaching directly to students. That's B2C versus B2B, which is teaching at a school. And then there's the customer to customer, where a platform like Etsy or another platform, even Facebook or Instagram, is about artists or producers selling their services and products on a different platform. So that's customer straight to customer, and the business side, the Etsy, is the company, they're creating that platform. So you can see how these kind of intertwine, and some of them can be more than one business model. But it's really good to know all the possible business models and who you're selling to. For instance, I sell my art straight to customers. I also am represented by a gallery. And also, I sell some of my services straight to customers, but I also sell them to businesses once in a while. Now, I have a primary business model of selling straight to customers, but once in a while, I will use a different business model. And it's good to keep this in mind because sometimes you don't want to spread yourself too thin about over too many different business models. It's good to periodically slow down, take a look at how you are selling your services or products and decide, is that working? Should I continue to sell straight to customers or should I shift and sell only to businesses? So all of these are questions that you can ask yourself in terms of your business model. Is it working? What is the best way to find my customers? Are those customers businesses or individuals? Okay, so now I want to give you a worksheet and kind of a metaphorical example of how to think about this. And I call it the business model landscape. We're going to look at a painting, which I think is really helpful to help us think about these things in a creative way. Okay, so there's a traditional landscape painting. This is called the Oxbow by Thomas Cole. And what I'm going to do is apply this business model idea to this painting. Okay, so in any landscape painting, you have the near distance, the middle distance, and the far distance. And here the far distance is here as well, but it's just I'm separating it into the three sections. Okay, so let's break this down. In the far distance, think about your business model and how you have things set up as the why. Okay, this is the future vision, right? In a landscape painting, you're looking up to the sky or you're looking out. There aren't any details in this part of the painting, or very few, right? Everything gets blurry, the colors get softer, the edges get softer. And so this is your big vision. This is your overarching idea. This is the far distance. This is the future. And you're looking up and out, okay? Or looking up. The next one is the middle distance. This is where you kind of can see how you're going to get there and where you're going. These are fewer details in this painting. You can't see every blade of grass, but you can see the outlines of the mountains and the river or the lake there. This is where your goals and your strategy are. So this is the where and the how you're going to get there. You look out. You look out into sort of the middle time frame for the next year or the next 2 years, whereas the far distance is maybe your vision for 5 years, 10 years from now. Okay. And then the near distance. In any landscape painting, things that are closer to you have much more clarity. This is the what. What is right in front of you? What is you're looking down so you don't trip over this log, right? You can see the details, this broken log, there's a flag in the ground there. You can see the leaves, you can see the moss on the trees. You can see the details in what's right around you. So that is kind of the now of the situation. So again, just to review, we have the far distance, that's the future. The middle is the the goals that you're setting for that are coming up, and then the near distance is the details that are happening right now. So I've created a worksheet that can help you think about your business model and the business model landscape. So think of this as this near distance. So this is now what's happening out in the future a little bit, and then what is happening in the further in the future or bigger picture. I'll just go over each box and then you can take this and do it for yourself. And you can even name your business model. So this might be art sales online. Okay. So, or, and you may make another one, another sheet called art sales in galleries. This is just a specific example. It helps to work each one of these out specifically. Okay, so in the near distance, value proposition, what do you sell? And this is where you can get really detailed. You may say, I sell sci-fi novels to, and in this second box, your main client, to middle-aged women, right? See how specific that is. That's the near distance. And what you charge. Well, you may charge 99 cents or 1.99 for the Audible version, and then you may charge have a in real life, a hard copy version that's 9.99. So that is gives you really specific details, and you can then move to the middle distance. Okay, in this sci-fi novel case, um, the middle distance is about where do they find me? So you may sell on Amazon. You also may sell to bookstores. So you may have a distributor that distributes your books to bookstores. Then the customer relationship. So this is interesting because if you're selling your sci-fi novels on Amazon, that's direct to consumers. If you're selling them to bookstores, then that's B2B, right? You're selling them through this distributor. So your customer relations in this case will be different. If you are talking to your customers, you're going to promote the books and tell them about the stories. If you're promoting to bookstores, you're going to want to have some messaging around why this is a good book for you, bookstore owner, to have in your bookstore. And you can see how that really does determine both of those things take time and messaging, and you have to determine if you're going to spend time on both of those things or if you're just going to focus on Amazon, or just going to focus on the bookstores. So it makes a big difference on your time, how you spend your time, and how much work you have to do for your messaging and marketing, etc. Okay, so the revenue streams. In this middle distance, how are you going to make money? Okay, so if you're selling books, you may get a percentage from that book. If you're writing more books and you work with a publisher, you may get an advance on a book from the publisher. If you are self publishing, you won't get that advance, but you'll make more money from your individual book sales. So, those are an example. If you're a novelist, you may also make money from doing readings or classes. So these are other revenue streams. Same if you're an artist. If you sell your paintings, but you also teach classes, you may have a revenue stream of demos or, selling a paid newsletter, selling online classes, that type of thing. Okay, so then the next level. And you can see how those middle level are all about where you're going, what are the specific goals that you have, and how you're going to make money through what channels. So the distance, the future is all about then in these three categories. This category is for your product, this is the people, and this is how you'll make the money. So the key activities might be for your product, how you stay on track. Well, if you're writing sci-fi novels, you may say, I want to write one novel every year. See how that's in the future, right? You have to plan ahead for these things, which means that you're going to have to connect that writing time into your schedule and make sure that your key activities, that you protect your time, protect your space, and that you're giving yourself the time to create as the creator. And also, as the promoter, you may need to spend that key activity time planning and operating and writing your marketing and planning out that messaging and building the relationships. So that is a lot about your schedule, etc. Over here under the people, who are your key partners? And this is about building relationships in the future as well in this distance. So, will you work with a university to teach classes? Will you work with an art school? Will you work with a gallery that you're going to promote your work at, or a network? So these types of partnerships are super important. If you're B2C and you're selling directly to the consumer, you may have partnerships that mean I'm learning about, how to collect. You're advising your collectors on, what's coming up for you, and if you're going to create a new series, you build those relationships with collectors so they will want to buy another piece from you. So that's the idea. And then the last part is about your key resources, how you deliver and grow. So in the sci-fi novel scenario, you may create a course about writing. You may create a website about future worlds. You may create a podcast. You may also have resources for you. You may have a coach. You may have a teacher. You may have a mastermind group that helps you think about this future scenario and keeps you on track and make sure that you have those resources to learning, keep growing, and keep delivering what you're delivering in new and interesting ways. So you don't miss out on something that you could really profit from. Um, and having groups and coaches and all of that is really a great resource. So that is, these are all continually changing, but I just wanted to give you that outline of what's happening in the near future, what's the clarity that's happening right now, what's happening in the middle distance of how are you going to put it out there, and how will you get paid, and who you will build relationships with, and then the distance, the far distance, how will you stay on track, how will you partner, and how will you deliver and grow. So I hope this was helpful in terms of business models, having you think about it in a different way, um, like a landscape painting. And I hope that kind of cements that in your mind about how to think about it and how to approach it. You can fill these out and email me if you have any questions or input. This is also a great activity for a mastermind group to do, or for a class, or for a coach and an accountability partner. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.